Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, October 20th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called to order. Before we begin this meeting, I would like to extend my sincere condolences to the family and loved ones of Terry Othema, who passed away on October 13th. Terry faithfully served the people of St. Charles Parish as a council member for 12 years, and his dedication to the community left a lasting impact. He will be deeply missed and fondly remembered by all who had the privilege of knowing him and working alongside him. Councilwoman Skiba will now lead us in a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, we gather today seeking guidance and unity. Grant us clarity of thought, respect in our discussions, and fairness in our decisions. May our efforts serve the common good and strengthen our community. Let our words and actions reflect integrity, cooperation, and purpose. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Skiba. Councilman Commerdale will not be in attendance tonight. Approval of the minutes. A motion and a second are needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of October 6th, 2025. We have a motion by Councilman Fisher, second by Councilwoman DeBrouillet. Please cast your votes. That passes unanimously. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. File number 2025-0311, proclamation, ARC Fall Fest and Trunk or Treat in St. Charles Parish. Councilwoman Skiba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proclamation. Whereas the Arc of St. Charles is a nonprofit organization committed to providing services and support that enable people of all ages with developmental and intellectual disabilities and special needs to attain their potential. And whereas the ARC strives to promote and maintain a high level of professionalism in all areas and to maximize all resources, human and financial, in the interest of helping all persons with intellectual and developmental disabilities and special needs. And whereas this year, 2025, the ARC of St. Charles is partnering with the St. Charles Parish Parks and Recreation Department. And whereas the ARC of St. Charles and the Parks and Recreation Department have had a long-standing relationship. The two have partnered together for several projects over the last 20 years. And whereas the annual ARC Fall Fest and Trunk or Treat is being held on Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center, 274 Judge Edward Dufresne Parkway. And whereas this year the annual ARC Fall Fest and Trunk or Treat will include 60 or more trunks, a haunted house, several contests, games, food trucks, music, and much more. And whereas proceeds from the ARC Fest benefit the participants and services of the ARC of St. Charles. Now therefore be it resolved, we the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President do hereby proclaim Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 as ARC Fall Fest and Trunk or Treat in St. Charles Parish, and encourage all citizens in the parish to attend the festival at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center in Luling. And we have Miss Victoria Bryant from the ARC here to accept. Sorry. Thank you.
Is it on already?
Yes.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you to our parish president and you, the council. Thank you for having us tonight. I am by myself, which is unusual. Everybody is exhausted. But again, I want to thank you all and thank this community. We have so many volunteers that will be coming out. Of course, our councilwoman, Miss Lysandra, I think Miss Councilwoman Heather will be there too, I think. But we're so excited about this event. We're excited to be partnering with Parks and Recreation this year. We've always had it at the Ark, and so it grew bigger than what we thought last year. So we're hoping it could be successful this year. Anybody that's still interested in bringing a trunk out there, we're still looking to make our 60. We're a few short, so we want to be successful with that. And so we again thank the community.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. And file number 2025-0312, proclamation, National First Responders Day in St. Charles Parish. Councilwoman Skiba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proclamation. Whereas National First Responders Day was first recognized by Congress in 2017 to honor first responders, including firefighters, police, emergency medical technicians, 911 operators, paramedics, and other emergency personnel, and all those who are first on the scene in stressful situations. And whereas first responders stand on the front lines of our communities, selflessly serving and protecting our citizens in times of crisis. And whereas first responders respond swiftly and courageously to emergencies, often putting their own lives at risk to ensure the safety and well-being of others, whether in natural disasters, accidents, medical emergencies, or public health and safety threats. And whereas first responders respond to emergencies without hesitation when the call of duty arises, and tirelessly give their time and energy, making themselves available every hour of the day, every day of the year. And whereas National First Responders Day is an important day as it reminds us of the sacrifice first responders face every time they step out onto the front lines. It is a day for them to bask in their heroism when they put the others' lives ahead of their own, and get to share the joy with teammates and take a moment to feel appreciated. And whereas the services, dedication, and commitment of first responders deserve to be recognized and honored. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby support, recognize, and honor all of our first responders of St. Charles Parish on October 28, 2025. National First Responders Day in St. Charles Parish. And we have Dr. Benny Jones here to accept.
That was a test shot.
Got him smiling. That's good.
One more. Thank you.
These two gentlemen right here don't know how dangerous you are to let me get in front of a microphone, okay? I'm just letting you know. First of all, I want to thank Congress for doing this. And then last year, what we did was I got in touch with Billy Nunn-Gesser, Sheriff Champagne, Dr. Ortling, and Matt Jewell, and we did a 4-minute piece about first responders that they showed last year in the school system, all the schools, at the beginning of the day, and they're going to do the same thing again this year to remind people and remind our kids how important it is to think about being a first responder, you know, whether a policeman, fireman, medic, whatever it is, because folks, you know this, and I don't have to tell you. I'll get a little choked up. Without those people, bad things happen. Houses burn down. People who have been in accidents don't get any attention. If those medics don't show up, our relatives and our friends, they die. And I'm just happy to be a part of this group and what they do, along with, you know, Sheriff Champagne, Donald Payton, the paramedics, you know, all the things that they do and the training they put in to be the best they can be. and to be the best first responders they can be. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Reports, finance and administrative activities, file number 2025-0313, Department of Public Works. And we have Mr. Bingham here to report.
Good evening, council members, Parish President Jewell. As I said, I'm Miles Bingham, Director of Public Works. Thank you for providing me this opportunity to share with you the Public Works Department report for 2025. Here's our agenda. I'm not going to go through the items. You'll get that as we go through. Public Works organization. On the left is a simplified organizational chart showing the major groups within the Public Works Department. Public Works currently has 233 total positions. 206 of those positions are filled, leaving 27 positions open. We are working very hard to fill those open positions. This slide shows the growth of the Public Works Department starting in 2020 when this administration came in through today. We have grown from 197 positions to 233 positions. A lot of this growth is attributed to building our pump maintenance group. This graph also demonstrates how we have continued to reduce the gap between the available positions in yellow and the filled positions in pink. These are our open positions at this point. This is always a fluid situation in Public Works, and some of these positions are already in the process of being filled. I'd like to talk a little bit about our work orders. On the right is a table showing the number of work orders opened this year, 15,833, and the work orders closed, 15,270 through the end of September right now, this year. These numbers are approximately 2,000 greater than they were from last year at this same time. So, work orders are generated in many ways. Residents report potential problems by making phone calls to the parish president's office, to the council members, or also to Public Works. Residents can also report potential problems on the parish website. Council members and parish employees can also identify potential problems. Once we have a potential problem identified, we send our QA staff out to investigate the potential problem. They decide whether a work order is needed. Sometimes they are projects rather than just a simple work order. A scope of work is developed. The work order is created in Asset Works. The priority of the work order is determined. The work order is assigned to the appropriate party, and the work order is scheduled. Our pump station system, one of our major systems. St. Charles Parish, this chart shows the pump stations on the West Bank. We have a total of 34 pump stations on that bank with 91 pumps. 2 pump stations have been added to our SCADA system this year, increasing the number from 17 to 19. This is our East Bank. On the East Bank, the parish has 24 stations with 64 pumps. Public Works Automation has installed flow meters on 2 pump stations and has tested flows on several others. They have also installed upstream flow detection in several locations. More improvements of this type are anticipated in the future. I also showed that the addition of the 2 pump stations will increase the total capacity by almost 200,000 gallons per minute. Parish also added a large sump and a 36-inch pump at Diane Pump Station. And this slide shows some of that work that was done. I would like to thank my assistant director, Brandon Bernard, for leading this effort. He got a lot of this work done and permitted. Parish also took over the Cross Bayou Pump Station this year. We've made significant improvements to this station, including installing new fuel day pumps, which is shown here, updating the SCADA system to allow us to remotely run this pump station, and many other repairs. These are upcoming pump station upgrades. These improvements include adding sumps, increasing station capacity, and other system upgrades. This year we had a couple of emergency responses. The January 22nd snowstorm, we used our equipment that we have on that's not meant for clearing snow, and the ingenuity allowed our crews to actually move the snow. We also had the July 17th rain event. This was a large rain event. It showed that the drainage improvements that we have made are working, but we still have a lot to do. On the left, crews are installing the stop logs at the US 90 boat launch in Des Allemands, which was built as part of the bulkhead project. This protects us from rising waters. On the right, the crews were demolishing a condemned building and removing the debris. One of the things I'm very happy with this year is our cooperation with other departments. Public Works has established a great working relationship with the legal department. An example of this relationship is the effort to acquire property for both the Kindler and Paul Frederick project and the King and Han Street project. I have been told that in the past, if servitude or right-of-way acquisition was needed, projects were abandoned due to the process being too difficult. The collaborative effort by the legal and public works departments on these two projects has proven this statement to be a myth, and I'm very happy to say that. We've also done a lot of cooperation with the recreation department. Public Works has been able to help improve a couple recreation facilities. The one on the screen right now is the new Ashton Soccer Complex parking lot, and then also the Des Allemands boat launch design is another. The boat launch project has been bid and will start construction at the end of 2025. You will be voting on that to accept the low bid on this project later in the agenda. And I wanted to make this, tell this little story. I was in the field recently visiting with one of my road crews. During my visit, they ran into a conflict with a water house connection. A telephone call was made, and the water department crew in that area was on site very quickly and resolved the conflict. This demonstrated to me the great working relationship between the field personnel of different departments. Special events. Public Works staff support numerous special events throughout every year, providing setup and removal of barricades for traffic and crowd control. They also put up banners and clear routes of obstructions such as low-hanging trees. They do all of this with skill and smiles. And I'm going to let the rest of these go through. We also help with the St. Charles Parish Day in Baton Rouge. Our pavement maintenance program. Last year, the parish had identified 2 streets rated very poor and 19 streets rated poor. Through an aggressive program, the Concrete Streets 2023-2024 project eliminated 1 very poor street and 7 poor streets. The 2025 asphalt road maintenance project upgraded 1 very poor street and 5 poor streets. 2 additional poor streets were repaired as part of our annual concrete maintenance contract. What we have left is Kindler and Paul Frederick, which will be repaired after the mid-block drainage improvements project is completed. And then that will leave 1 asphalt street, which is Pelican Street over near Bungie, and 2 limestone streets, which we are working on solutions. These are the projects that we did under the asphalt pavement maintenance program this year, which was quite a number. And so we've got our capital projects. This slide shows the projects bid and completed since the beginning of the Jewell administration. Note the increase in the number of projects bid per year starting in 2023. The slow start was due to lack of projects in progress at the start of the administration, COVID, and Hurricane Ida. The parish now has a backlog of projects to work on going forward. On this list are several projects that were deemed impossible to build. An example of this, after completion of the Willowdale right turn lane, several of my neighbors thanked me for installing the right turn lane. I was a little confused and said so. I thought the project was actually fairly simple. They responded that they had been asking for the improvement for 15 years. They added that several prior administrations had said the project was too difficult or could not be done. They thanked me for figuring out a way to make it happen. These are the projects we have funded in the future. This coming year, only Barber Road requires additional construction funding. At this point, I would like to take this opportunity to thank my staff for the excellent work that they do on a daily basis. I'm very proud of them. They keep the streets open and the drainage systems in top working order. From the staff in the office to the workers in the field, they all do a great job. They deserve our appreciation. Thank you, and I'll take questions.
Thank you. Councilman Pillier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Bingham, I'll look at your list here, capital projects going from 2020 to 2026, and it is an impressive thing to look at. Way back when, not a bunch of capital projects, and as years go on, they increase and in value too. But I can tell you, I watch a lot of what's going on, and I've been impressed and continue to be impressed. Just keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you. I would mention that one of the things that's allowed us to do that is the grants department going out and getting us a lot of grants. So that's helped a great deal.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. On the property acquisition, the pictures that are showing, is this, Kindler and Paul Frederick?
That is Kindler and Paul Frederick. Those are the services that are needed, that we acquired all but one, and one will be acquired very shortly.
Okay. So these are like the phases, the three pictures, is it like phase 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, all righty. And one other question, as far as the properties, getting the servitudes, where are we with that one last property? Because I know the others have been done, but where are we with that last property?
All but one, and we also need to work on the ditch behind the houses on K.
So we need to get the ditches as well?
Just the one.
Oh, just the one?
We already can maintain it. We need to work on acquiring it.
Okay, so then, once the acquisition has been done on the last property, and the succession has been done on the last property, when will we see work begin?
There's a sewer project that needs to be completed prior to us being able to do the drainage project. That sewer project is currently being advertised and should be done sometime late fall, summer of next year, and then we will follow that very quickly with our project. We will get that the drainage project before that project is finished.
So the sewer project is coming before the drainage
Yes, ma'am.
project, but that'll be in 2026.
They should start in the first of 2026. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilwoman O'Daniels.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Miles, I appreciate the charts, very helpful. Could you let me know when projects actually make it to the charts? I know we have other capital projects that are in the works, Fairfield, Oakland, and they're on the capital list, but at what point do they get to make it to the big chart where they're fully funded or fully designed? Or explain that to me. Thank you.
Yes, those are projects that we actually are either very close to having finished design or are completed design, and the money for them is in next year's budget. So we can actually construct those projects. The one that you're asking about, which is Fairfield and also Turtle Pond, the money is also in a later year, but we are not as far along with the design. We're just starting the design and the permitting, so we will need more time to get those to the stage that those projects are at right now.
Right. So where we see that in our budget numbers and those little tiny, tiny but big numbers, they're in the budget, but at this point they're not to the point where we can say they're
We
fully.
just really started design on
Okay.
a couple of those projects.
All right. Thank you so much.
Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. And I'll just mention, Michelle, on one of your projects that's not in that chart, is the Turtle Pond lift station, right? And so that one received a grant. It's in the process of being designed, and one of the major components is where are we going to locate it? And what we'd like to do is locate it right on Airline Highway, which is actually in some DOTD right of way. And so I just got the DOTD agreement that the legal department's going to be going over to make sure that it's good with us for us to be able to get that property for that. So what I'll tell you is that some of those, there's a lot of projects that aren't on that list, but they're all still moving through. And Lysandra, I just wanted to make sure, Councilwoman, is that the pictures you saw on there were those cross ditches that are going to bring water to the new and improved ditch / canal that we are going to build there. And we are having conversations with that property owner, which is actually a group of family members, to be able to get that property. I know the legal department has spoken to them as well. And the other thing that I would say on on that project too, you had mentioned a succession. My understanding is that succession just wrapped up, and so we'll be getting that last cross ditch that we need very soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Parish President Jewell and Mr. Bingham. File number 2025-0314, Parish President Remarks Report. Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Okay, I will start really quickly with the East Bank Bridge Park ribbon cutting. Well, first, let me just introduce. We have Doug Sheremy in the office, in the audience today. Doug is with the governor's office. We want to thank you and the governor for having people come out and keep track of all the things that are going on out in the parishes. So thank you, Doug. All right. We're going to be celebrating our ribbon cutting for the East Bank Bridge Park. I know this has been long awaited, and it certainly has been for us as well. So we're asking the public and our council members to join us on Thursday, October 30th at 5 p.m. for the official ribbon cutting ceremony. The event is going to highlight the recent park improvements, which include the 2 new turfed fields, an updated basketball court, newly constructed pickleball courts and tennis courts, a fully paved parking lot, which is something we didn't have there before, and a lot of drainage and ground improvements to the park that have happened since then. We are very proud to have worked closely with Valero, who gave us a very generous donation of $500,000 to help make this project possible. And so we look forward to hearing from the Valero team as well. We'll go over to the East Bank Bridge Park culvert installation. So in conjunction with this, I mentioned that we are working on drainage at the park, and this is going to be a big improvement where Public Works is working with us to install drainage pipes that are going to go along the I-310 exit ramp, which is where the park currently drains to. So it's all draining to that road and then coming around. Public Works recently made improvements to the pipe that goes behind Harry Hurst Middle School and ties in to a larger canal back there before it goes out into the wetlands. So this is really going to help get the park drained pretty quickly. It's also going to make it a lot easier for maintenance, and overall aesthetically it will look better. So we want to just say thank you to not only our Parks and Rec team, but to the Public Works team who are helping us do this. Okay, the Hornville boat launch is now open. We are excited that this project, or repair I should say, is complete. We did take the opportunity to double the length of the boat launch so that nobody goes off the back of the boat launch again. And I do want to mention that is what happened originally with the boat launch. Someone backed too far off, their trailer went off, and when they pulled themselves out with their four-wheel drive Jeep, they actually pulled one of the panels up. And so what we thought was the panel actually breaking, it was actually just separate panels that were laid one by one in there, kind of stacked together. So unfortunately it created a safety hazard. We had to shut it down for a while. But we were able to get it back open, and we are currently working with the state and some property owners to get some long-term agreements in place so that we can continue to make improvements out here and be able to, cover the useful life of those improvements. All right, we have a project that's nearing completion. We have the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center chiller project. This was a much-needed upgrade to the facility. Originally, when the facility was designed, it was designed to have 2 chillers When they built the facility, they built it with one because of whatever constraints that they had at the time while they were building it. And that one chiller bared the brunt of chilling that large building for a long time, and the smoke from the sugarcane fields and whatnot were not helpful to the actual chiller unit. So we went ahead and installed 2 chillers. So now there's a redundant system. Those chillers will cycle on and off each week, which will spread the load and allow us to be able to maintain one while the other one is running. And so we're excited to be able to get that project pretty much wrapped up in the coming weeks. The procurement department helped us offset a small bit of the cost with the old unit. They sold it for $10,000 via auction. Again, the new unit will be connected this week and started up with the HVAC testing. And before the end of the year, we'll be good to go. Okay, the Destrehan High School Football Recreation Night. Thank you for Destrehan High School for welcoming our Parks and Recreation families for Parks and Recreation Night. Our recreation cheerleaders teamed up with the DHS squad to keep the energy high in the stands, while our young athletes joined the Destrehan football team in the locker room and on the field to experience the excitement of a real high school football game. These are always fun for our cheerleaders and our football players to go in and play with the big kids. Community Services Week events. The Department of Community Service hosts weekly workout classes at the Boutte, St. Rose, and Kelowna Community Centers for residents, and to receive a free workout, to get a free workout class, and it's instructed by Anytime Fitness in Destrehan. Each community center also hosts weekly lunch and learns for residents to learn from industry professionals while also enjoying a free meal. So we want to say thanks for our community center staff for that. If you want more information about that, you can go to www.stcharlesparish.gov/community services, where we have some more information. Earlier this month, we did some planning and zoning department, the ZBA folks, and the coastal zone advisory committee. They went out for a first-hand look at the Davis Pond freshwater diversion project with some CPRA staff. During the visit, they learned about CPRA's strategy for managing the diversion and the long-term monitoring of salinity levels, vegetation health, and sediment deposits. They also took an airboat tour out to the ponding area for the Davis diversion and looked at the land that has been built up as a result of the Davis Pond diversion. Thanks to the CPRA, Restore the Mississippi River Delta, St. Bernard Ecotourism, which provided the airboat, and the St. Charles Sheriff's Department, which assisted with the tour. I want to say I've been on this tour many times. It is amazing what the Davis Pond diversion has been able to create in a little over 20 years. Right there, that whole ponding area used to be open water. That's about 500 acres now that has filled in, and we're talking about a diversion that was designed merely to take water off the top of the river and skim that fresh water off the top, not any sediment. So it just goes to show you that there is a lot of sediment that's still in the river. There may not be what was in the river 14,000 years ago, but there's still a lot of sediment in that river that can be used for land building. All right. As a reminder, the St. Charles Parish veterans and their spouses are invited to join us for our annual Veterans Luncheon on Thursday, November 6th at the Edward A. Dufresne Community Center. We're inviting our council members to come be a part of that this year as well. If you'd like to be a part of the Veterans Tribute, please send a picture of your service member with a name, branch, and rank to publicinfo@stcharlesgov.net by Saturday, November 1st. And you can always call our office if you need any help with that. That's 985-783-5000, and we can help get that photo on the slideshow. October is National Manufacturing Month, so we wanted to make sure to talk about the importance and significant impact that the manufacturing industry has on our parish. The petrochemical industry specifically provides $267 million in annual wages in St. Charles Parish, which is significantly above the state's manufacturing average. Since 2022, over $4 billion in new investments have been authorized, creating 250 new jobs with $21 million in new payroll in the parish, and manufacturers pay $229 million in property taxes annually, which is 88% of all property taxes in the parish. This directly funds our local schools, our sheriff's department, infrastructure projects, and important services that are provided in the parish. Our local manufacturers also partner with our schools and our parish to strengthen STEM education and skills trade. They also sponsor student and teacher development programs, creating pathways for long-term careers and for residents. I do want to say thank you to the Louisiana Chemical Association, Mr. David Cresson, Brian Landry, Patrick Riley, and I think John Diaz is here somewhere. There he is, John. Thank you all for being here. David, if you want to say anything, just 10 seconds. If you just tell everybody hello, introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Jewell, and thank you, council members, for having us. I will be very brief. Again, I am David Cresson. I am the pretty new president and CEO of the Louisiana Chemical Association. We're honored to be here. We're honored to represent quite a few members of ours who come from St. Charles Parish. We represent 70 overall across the state, about 100 facilities, and another 500 vendor companies that make up our LCI program. And here in St. Charles, we're especially proud of the fact that you all have some of the highest incomes in the state, some of the highest employment rates in the state, while also having some of the best health outcomes in the state. And we as an organization and as an industry are proud of our role in that. So thank you for allowing us to be here today. Thank you for honoring our industry, especially alongside friends from the ARC and with the first responders as well. So thank you for allowing us to be here. We're honored to present, and thank you, President Jewell, for the kind words. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. We appreciate the work that you guys are doing to not only promote the state, but promote the benefits that manufacturing is doing within St. Charles Parish. And Chairwoman, that concludes my report.
All right. Parish President Jewell, I just wanted to back up to your statement about the community center and the second chiller, and a second chiller being eliminated for cost cutting, because as project manager, I don't recall a second chiller being designed or cut.
Maybe that's my mistake. I know they said it was like piped and ready for 2 chillers, but
for an expansion, future expansion.
Okay, maybe I had a mistake in that. Yep. Well,
Okay.
we got 2 chillers, expanded chillers.
All right. Ordinance introduced for publication, public hearing, Tuesday, October 28, 2025, 9 a.m., Thursday, October 30th, 2025, at 1 p.m., and Monday, November 3rd, 2025, at 6 p.m. in the council chambers here in the courthouse in Hornville. File number 2025-0161, an ordinance to approve and adopt the appropriation of funds for the St. Charles Parish Consolidated Operating and Capital Budget for fiscal year 2026. Ordinances, resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, November 3rd, 2025, at 6 p.m., council chambers, courthouse in Hornville. File number 2025-0318, 2025-0319, 2025-0321, 2025-0323, 2025-0324, and 2025-0327. Ordinances scheduled for public hearing introduced at the previous meeting. File number 2025-0305, an ordinance of the Parish of St. Charles to amend the Code of Ordinances, Parish of St. Charles, Chapter 2, Article 1, in general, Section 2-2, fees of copies of documents A, B, and adding D. Mr. Castro.
Good afternoon, good evening, Council. This ordinance is to update our Code of Ordinance to reinstate fees for public records requests. We've also added language to ensure, after working with the Council Secretary, to ensure that any entity that requests documents for publication or promotion of public bids would be able to not have to pay these fees, and also to ensure that any credit card fees associated with obtaining the public records requests would be included in the total cost of those public records.
All right, file number 2025-0305 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Councilman Pilier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. When I got a hold of this agenda and I read this, I was a bit taken aback. As a person, before I'd run in office and got elected onto this council, I did a lot of public record requests. So I just went back and I took a list that I had prior to me getting onto the council, and I added up the sheets that are involved in each of the master drainage plans, which we spent, I don't know, $2.5 million to do at the cost of the public. And they added up, this is all of them with the exception of about 3, to 1,599 pages. All right, so if you take the math that you've got here and you do $0.50 for each page electronically, which is the way I received them all, and it wasn't very difficult to get on the Just FOIA, that would have been $799.50. So I have an opinion that when people are going to go look for documents and they get the price, they'd shy away from it. Basically, this has a chilling effect on getting public records from the parish. And I also have asked for documents such as drawings and specifications, and that adds up as well. And all I'm saying here is that what we had before, I'd go to the courthouse, I'd have somebody sit there on a computer, I'd identify how many sheets I'd want, and because it was expensive and they give it to you in paper, you know, I'd minimize what I'd get. But it took a lot of time, and it took time on the part of the people that had to find this information for me and make it available. So I can't say that I have a difficulty with photostatic copies, but this electronic stuff I have a real problem with. And on top of that, as I read this ordinance, it refers in the second category, electronic documents transferred in public records office must purchase hardware from St. Charles Parish to transfer documents. Hardware fees are listed below. However, in this ordinance, there are no hardware charges listed in this ordinance. So I think we got something here that needs more work. But certainly, I don't favor what I'm seeing here. Thank you.
Councilwoman O'Daniels.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've had the opportunity to discuss this in my concerns with, I mentioned my concerns with Samantha as well as legal. And my main concern is the public rights to access to public records. And while I do know that, maybe some adjustments need to be made in the fee schedule, particularly with the photocopying, because as we all know, costs are just out of control as far as, labor, copying costs, toner, etc. My concern lies mostly with the charge of 50 cents a page for electronic records, which I really cannot support at this time. However, I do believe that adjustments to the ordinance, are probably warranted, but I just don't think that this is the proper place to mark through all of those particular suggestions, because that'd be more like a legislative hearing on how to deal with electronic copies. For instance, one of the cases I looked up was a case that was brought by the Parish of Ascension, who felt that 187,000 documents was unwieldy, especially since they had to go through them for redaction. And so under this pay schedule, it was $10,000 to get them from the Parish of Ascension under their request, which was eventually denied by the first Court of Appeals. But under our pay schedule, that would be basically $96,000 to produce those documents. I think there's got to be a better way to level this out between the costs incurred by the parish as well as the public interest. Thank you.
Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So I've got a long history with public records requests. When I worked at the Department of Energy, one of my jobs was to review public records requests that were sent in from all across the country. And one of the things that was abundantly clear then, and it is now working in St. Charles Parish government, because we get to see this every day, is that these public records requests have a cost to the parish. Many employees have to, especially for larger requests, have to gather and work weeks, if not months. I know of a public records request that I think went to Carla's office in the grants office. Three out of her 4 employees had to stop what they were doing for weeks not working on some of the stuff that is important to us and important to the people of this parish, but weeks to fulfill a request for public documents just because they were requested. And I think the public should have access to these documents. But at the end of the day, this is a very small number of people generating an inordinate amount of work for the parish, and all this is seeking to do is to recoup some of that money. Because right now I could go and say, I want every email that Walter Pile ever sent for the last 4 years, or however long you've been in office. And that is going to have to go to Michelle. She's going to have to spend a lot of time looking at it, redacting it. It's going to have to go to the legal office. The legal office has to go through and make sure that there's no personally identifiable information. And all that time that they're doing that, they're not working on servitudes. Michelle's not working on things that are important to her office and for all of y'all. So we are the ones on the inside who are seeing this firsthand and the impact that it's having on the workforce when we get these public records requests. We're not asking to even cover actual costs. In the federal government, they track hours. They track hours of the individuals who had to work on it, and you have to pay a certain portion of that. One of the things I wanted to make sure was that we weren't out of line as a parish in doing this. I knew we weren't because the ordinance already existed, number one. Number two, we weren't out of line even within St. Charles Parish because the sheriff's office charges, the school system charges for public records requests. So we're an outlier when it comes to that. But then I went even further. I asked all of my parish presidents in Southeast Louisiana in the state, do you charge? Every one of them that responded charged, and they sent me their fee schedules, and our fee schedules are either on parity with those or below those. So I don't think that what we have presented here is out of line. I think that it gives a lot of leeway to Ms. Impastato, who's the keeper of the records, to make decisions. But I think that when you have people who are requesting every document that it was ever done, and even their pared down requests are thousands and thousands of documents that we are going to have to go through and redact and process, I think it's fair that there be some sort of cost incurred and that the public isn't subsidizing the work of our employees to fulfill a small number of requests that generate a very large amount of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Parish President Jewell. Councilman Pillier, this is your second time to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand the concern about the amount of money that gets spent. I also understand that there are people in the public who request things. I was one. I will be one when I'm not a councilman again. And if I want information that I think is important, things that involve drainage, things that involve construction, I can't see the inordinate amount of money that would be associated with those particular requests. There must be some other way. There has to be something that we could discuss. I think that it's not necessarily a slam dunk that this particular fee schedule must be adhered to. Like I say, the paper copies, fine. The amount of work that goes into identifying the documents that someone is going to request, it gets done anyway. And somebody could say, fair, how much does that cost? He says, $200. They say, no. The amount of effort's already spent to identify that. And that's unfortunate. But I can't solve that problem. I just know this has a chilling effect on the public when they request documents. And so I would suggest that we table this and work on it a little bit more. I'd like to make a motion to table this.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Councilman Pillier to table this ordinance. I'm going to need a second to that motion. Okay, this is to table the ordinance. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Pillier, a second by Councilman Mobley to table this ordinance. You're in. Okay. All right. Please cast your votes to table the ordinance. And that passes with Councilwoman Fonseca voting nay. Okay, moving on. File number 2025-0308. An ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with Cycle Construction Company LLC for the Zalman's Boat Launch, project number P210705, in the amount of $4,989,859. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First thing I would like to mention is, it doesn't say so, but this is also a recreation project. My buddy Dwayne Foray and I have worked very hard on this together, and I appreciate the effort that he's putting into this, and the funding is coming from the Recreation Department's budget. Public Works did do the design and will do the oversight of the construction. So it is a joint project, and I think one that this parish desperately needs, and we would appreciate your support.
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. File number 2025-0308 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Councilman Pillier?
Thank you, Mr. Bingham. Excellent job. One quick question, though, and you may not have the answer to this because I know you don't get the schedule from the contractor as of yet, after the contract is written up and it's approved, etc. So it'll be a little while. But you have any idea what we're targeting for completion schedule this project?
I would suspect that they would probably start the first of the year time frame because of getting materials and everything together. And I believe this is a 365-day contract, if I remember correctly.
How much did you say? I'm sorry.
365-day calendar day.
So
it'll probably take about a year. But knowing how well Cycle has done work for us before, I would not be surprised if they were ahead of schedule.
Thank you very much.
Parish President Jewell?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just want to say thank you to Miles and to Dwayne Foray for all of their work on this. This has been a long time coming. Not just this project, but a true West Bank boat launch has been a long time coming for the parish. And so I know there's a lot of technical aspects of this project, which is why Public Works and their folks were handling the engineering design portion of this. But just want to say thanks, and we're looking forward to breaking ground.
All right, any other council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2025-0308. And that passes unanimously. File number 2025-0309, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a change order number 1 for the East Bank Bridge Park improvements, project number RECB 123, to increase the contract amount by $87,294.80 and increase the contract time by 134 days. Mr. Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Chairwoman. We're going to ask that this be removed indefinitely from the agenda. During the process, we know there are some change orders that we made that we do, have to come to this council before. But during the time that we were working on this and after this was introduced, we did come up with liquidated damages for this contract. This project has gone far too long, and so we'll be working with the council and introducing a new change order that has those liquidated damages included.
Okay, the administration has requested for file number 2025-0309 to be postponed indefinitely. We have a motion to postpone indefinitely by Councilman Fisher, second by Councilwoman Wilson. Please cast your votes to postpone the ordinance indefinitely. And that passes unanimously. All right, moving on. File number 2025-0310, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of change order number 1 final for the East Bank Lift Stations rehabilitation. Project number S211203 to increase the contract amount by $35,386.60 and increase the contract time by 173 calendar days. Mr. DeGeneres.
Yes, Madam Chair. This project was the East Bank Lift Station, consisted of 3 lift stations: Wildcat, Clayton and East Street. Only 35,000 brought the total cost to 1.6 million. Calendar days, we had some unforeseen issues in there. Hurricane Francine came along too, that delayed them too during that. So some of that time was all added to that 173 extra days. We recommend approval of this change order.
Okay, thank you. File number 2025-0310 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Councilman Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. DeGeneres, I understand the weather delays. I understand the school board's issue with the turning lane and stuff. But what I don't understand is some of the engineering things that kind of kicked into this. One was the hatch framing at Clayton and E Street didn't allow for force main piping to penetrate through the top as originally intended. So that was a design, the person that we hired to design that. So those are the kind of things that we seem to be getting better at, those kind of things. I mean, when we look at the scale of this project, it really didn't raise the price of it. But it's the kind of things that I think we should catch before, right, when we do this. We hold our engineering companies to higher standards, and we've done a better job. Trust me, in the last 8 years, I think we can all agree to that. But when I see things like this, and we may write it off as a one-off or things like that, but this one was a simple little project, simple little thing that cost us $18,000.
I agree.
Those are the kind of things. And I would ask, I know when you do your due diligence and when we meet with these engineers, to tell them, please, they got to make sure that, $18,000 here, $17,000 at Wildcat, we add up down the line. We just got to do a better job of presenting that final project to that contractor so that he has that full scope of work, and it doesn't do that. I mean, I don't know what kind of delay this added to it.
We did have problems with the engineering company, only because I think what happened is the engineer that was the design engineer, he was Indian. He had issues with family. He ended up going back to India during this contract. Okay. So he wasn't available during construction on some things that probably should have been caught earlier. So I think there was some lapse there, and we missed it too in our engineering department when we were looking at it. It was one of those things. It was in between a lot of things, and those did slip through. We are doing a better job on some of the future ones that we have just gone through that we're coming out to bid shortly.
I was hoping we were getting better, and we are. Trust me, this is the first one I've seen in 3 years that had just popped up like this. So
yes,
I mean, I know things happen, but I mean, $18,000, that's a lot of money. So just ask you to do your due diligence, and when we sign these contracts with these engineering firms, maybe there's a clause in there for things like this where maybe liquidated damages apply to engineering companies too. So, but that's all. I mean, other than that, excellent project, excellent job, improved the sewer lift stations, all around. But those are the kind of things that kind of just frustrate me.
Yes,
thank you.
All right, any other council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2025-0310. And that passes unanimously. Persons to address the council, file number 2025-0320, Miss Alicia Johnson. Update on fixings of Kindler Street, Paul Frederick Street, road/street need to be fixed. Miss Kindler, you have 5 minutes to speak.
All right. Alicia Johnson, good evening.
Excuse me, Miss Johnson. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. On the October 6th meeting, I looked and I seen that there was road maintenance done on Heather and Lakewood Drive in Luling. I am following up with an email I sent on March 28th, 2025 regarding the fixing of the street of Kindler, Paul Frederick, Gasson, and Luling Estate. Yes, Gasson, Luling Estate, and the first half of Paul Frederick Street have had work done. But many residents still drove on the second half of Paul Frederick Street and Kindler Street, which were alternate streets during the repairs on Paul Mallet Road. These streets currently have dents, cracks, gaps, and potholes still present when the repavement and or repairs of Paul Mallett Road was being done. We as residents of the previous stated streets were patient during the Paul Mallett Road repavement repairs, and I am requesting an updated status on when Kindler Street and the second half of Paul Frederick Street will be repaired. The email I sent on March 28, 2025, Ms. Michelle DeBruyere did respond stating that we have a project for Kindler and Paul Frederick, P210704, Brooklyn to Hackberry. The project will be constructed in 3 phases. The first phase is to construct mid-block drainage outfalls to the ditch west of Kindler. We have identified 3 corridors for these outfalls and are currently working on obtaining servitudes for them. 10 out of 11 residents have agreed in principle to sell the servitude. We have one holdup, she stated, but the parish president is working on him as a resolution. Now that we have identified these corridors, we have the engineer designing the pipe outfalls. This should be a quick process, and she expected to bid this project later this year. The other 2 phases, roadway drainage and roadway repair, will follow. We may be able to build them together if funding is available. We are looking at any options. Gaston Street, Hackberry to Railroad is on the list to be milled and overlaid during the upcoming asphalt road maintenance project. Paul Frederick from Hackberry to Canal will also be done as part of this project. This project has been bid, and as a low bid acceptance is being included on the next agenda for approval. Yes, I do understand that there is a drainage project, and I would like to know when will it start, and the overlay repairs of Paul Frederick and Kindler Street will be begun. Since then, as of March 31st, 2025, I haven't received an update or when the fixing or repairs will take place. And I do know that the department did state today the mid-block drainage will be, I want to say, late summer, correct, of next year.
This is just time for you to speak. It's not like a question and answer.
Okay.
Have you completed your?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Parish President Jewell.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And I do want to mention, we mentioned it earlier today. The reason it would have been done on our normal list this year, had it not been for this project, because what we're going to have to do is just really tear up that road when that project comes through. We'll be cutting across the road in several places where we lay new pipe to be able to get the water out. As you know, in that Kindler and Paul Frederick area, when we get a bad rain, what happens is a lot of times the rain just gets trapped and it just kind of has to meander its way out. So this is going to give it the drainage that it needs, which unfortunately, is what's probably causing the undermining of the road in a lot of cases too, because that water, when it sits and people are driving on it, just does a number on those asphalt roads. What I am going to ask Miles is that Brandon go out and take a look at it if we do have some time before we start, and just see if we can patch like the worst of the worst areas. I know we can't go and redo the whole thing, but if we can patch some of the areas that may be a safety issue before the project gets started.
Okay. We can absolutely do that, and I want to let the lady know, since he has directed this question to me. The funding is in place to do redo the road as soon as the cross drains is done. So it will follow very quickly after that drainage project.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. File number 2025-0322, Ms. Alicia Johnson. Resolution that was done for safety on bridge, auxiliary fence, hail box. Ms. Johnson, you have the floor.
On July 11th, 2024, I sent an email to Parish President Matthew Jew, council members, and also DOTD engineer Daniel Gitlin regarding the safety auxiliary fence along the Hellbogs Bridge for the safety of our citizens. In the past, we had several citizens who jumped off the bridge there, and as a precautionary measure, I would like for the safety of citizens to not self-harm. So I am requesting an update on the resolution that was done on the safety of the bridge fence.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Councilwoman Wilson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I do know there was a resolution that was done. The resolution number is 2024-0297.
And since then, I just want to let you know, since the email, I know President Matthew Jews, you did respond and say you'll follow up regarding this. Also, the engineer, he attached 2 DOTD engineers as well on this email for my concerns.
Parish President Jewell.
Yeah, I'm going to have to follow up again. I don't think I've seen anything. I'm going to have to go back and look and figure out where that thread is, but we'll take a look again and see where it's at.
Is there a time frame?
I don't have any. Well, it won't take me long to look if that's what you're asking. But I don't have anything from DOTD on what they said. I'll be doing an RPC meeting pretty soon, and I know we'll probably be able to circle up with the DOTD. They have a representative there for that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Yes. Resolutions. File number 2025-0317. Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. Councilman Wilson.
I just want to clarify that it wasn't a resolution number. It was the file number 2024-0297. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Seeing no further discussion, we're on to resolutions. File number 2025-0317, a resolution to approve and authorize execution of a federally funded agreement between the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and St. Charles Parish for funding in the amount of $79,746 to purchase 2 tethered drones for emergency operations. Ms. Shessel.
Yes, good evening. So over the summer, we submitted an application to FEMA for their port security grant program to request $79,000 for the purchase of 2 tethered drones for our emergency operations center. And we were recently notified that application was approved. So this resolution is just approving and authorizing us to enter into the grant agreement. So if you have any questions, let me know.
All right. File number 2025-0317 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2025-0317. That passes unanimously. Appointments. File number 2025-0306, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as the District 2 representative. Council Chairman will accept nomination to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control from the District 2 council member to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Ms. Frances Annie F. Harmon, the unexpired term to begin immediately and expire on April 1st, 2026. Do we have any nominations? Councilwoman Skiba.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to nominate Ms. Lindsay Toulier to fill that position.
All right. Councilwoman Skiba has nominated Lindsay Toulier. I need a motion and a second to close the nominations. We have a motion from Councilwoman DeBrouillet, second from Councilwoman O'Daniels. Please cast your votes to close the nominations. That passes unanimously. File number 2025-0315, accept the resignation of Mr. Webb J., St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission, District 3 representative. Please cast your vote to accept the resignation of Mr. Webb J. on the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission, District 3 representative. That passes unanimously. File number 2025-0316, a resolution appointing a member to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as the District 3 representative. On Monday, November 3rd, 2025, the council chairman will accept nomination from the District 3 council member to fill the vacancy caused by the resignation of the term of Mr. Webb J. The unexpired term will begin immediately and expire on May 31st, 2029. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings. The Coastal Zone Advisory Committee will meet Friday, October 24th at 12 p.m. here in the council chambers. The Housing Authority will meet Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. The Hospital Service District Number 1 will meet Wednesday, October 29th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in the council chambers. And the St. Charles Parish Council will meet next on Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Announcements. Public hearings to consider the proposed 2026 capital and consolidated operating budget will be held Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 9 a.m., Thursday, October 30th, 2025 at 1 p.m., and Monday, November 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. Adjournment. Need a motion and a second to adjourn. A motion by Councilman Fisher, a second by Councilwoman DeBrouillet. Please cast your votes to adjourn. And that passes unanimously. Have a great evening. We are officially adjourned.